Warning: the following program may contain material not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Kill the noise and cut the static. Broadcasting from high in the mountains of West Virginia, we're leaving the 9 to 5 in the rearview mirror. The engine is warm, the lights are green, and it's finally time to shift your Wednesday into overdrive. And now, here's your host, Diego the Podcaster.
On this episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, our guest sounds bypasses the trends to focus on one singular mission: writing rock music that hits you straight in the gut. This is Wheeler, a powerhouse that expertly carves out a space between the grid of post-grunge and the soaring scales of modern hard rock. His sound was a masterclass in balance, pairing driving riffs and cinematic melodies with lyrics that don't shy away from the heavy lifting. He's street ready with a brand new single that promises to be as explosive as it is honest. It's pedal to the metal around every turn. All this plus more. Please welcome our new friend and first-time guest, Wheeler. Wheeler, my friend, welcome to Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing great. And I was talking to you before the show, and I was kind of telling you how I found out about your music. And the first track that I heard, which quickly made it into my gym mix, not only my gym mix, but my driving, my highway mix, I heard Adrenaline. Immediately, super huge fan of yours, and we're definitely going to get into that in a few minutes, but your music, it sounds like you've been doing this forever. It's hard rock, it's part metal, it's AOR, but your history starts way before 2026, before the Wheeler of today. So let's go back in time a little bit.
So
How did we get here?
I'm in my 50s, and for me, I started playing music. I mean, I grew up in a house where my grandmother taught me how to play instruments and stuff. Started out with guitar, piano, violin, and I started my first band when I was like 15, 16 years old. And back then, everything was white this, white snake, white lion. And I started playing in a band called White Lightning. And then I played through most of the late 80s, mid 90s to early 2000s. And I got out of music at that point because I just saw a big shift in the industry. And I don't know, I was just burnt out at the time and kind of stepped away. I mean, I hadn't even picked up a guitar really seriously until a couple of years ago.
That long?
Yeah. I'd pick it up, noodle around and stuff, but not like playing serious.
Well, let me ask this. Well, actually, no, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So we're around the same age because you mentioned the times and the music that was going on at that time.
Right.
And we grew up in the same era of Headbangers Ball. And the era when
Ricky
thrash,
Rapman, all them,
I started with when it was Adam Curry.
Me too.
And his glorious hair, which I tried to do the same thing with mine, with my rave and my Vidal Sassoon, but it didn't last too much longer into my 30s, so I had to shave it all off. And that's a story for another day. But talking about the shift in music, because everything was going very, very well up until, I'm going to say, 92. And not to say anything bad about that scene, but the grunge scene pretty much dominated for, I'm going to say, a good, 3 to 5 years, kind of?
When the grunge scene came in, I hated it. I mean, like, I grew up, I was glammed out, I mean, I was the guy that was wearing eyeliner, all that stuff. And So when grunge came in, I was kind of opposed to it. I started getting more into more along the lines of like bands like Goo Goo Dolls and Matchbox 20 and stuff like that, because it spoke to me more as like I write from the heart when I write. And so those bands kind of spoke to me a little bit more than the grunge scene. I love a lot of that stuff, like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, love them. But it just didn't, I couldn't connect with it the way I did with songs that kind of talk more from the heart.
It's interesting you mentioned a lot of those bands, and you started seeing things like Headbangers Ball started catering more to that style of music. But it's one of those things I would have been more open minded to it, and I don't mean to shit into the in that scene, but it was almost like so. Let me see. Let me do my best here to explain myself because my words fail me. So you're a metalhead, and here's grunge. Throw this out the door. Say you're gonna like this now. You're gonna like grunge whether you like it or not. And it kind of just spread like wildfire. And when I started going to the record shops and the CDs, you started asking about certain bands. They're like, "You still listening to that?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." They're kind of like trying to make you feel embarrassed. I'm like, no, I'm still listening to Halloween and Iron Maiden. What do you got? But story for another day. But metal survived, hard rock survived, and it's alive today, and especially alive today with Wheeler. I still can't. I'm not saying I don't believe because you just told me, but it's just within the last 2 years you started writing music again. And what was the first song you put out?
So let's go back a little over 2 years ago. My wife's mother passed away. And I sat down and I wrote this song called Heaven's Call. And I think I wrote it in like 20, 30 minutes, just sitting at a piano. And then I had written a song for my wife. My wife's name is Gina. I wrote this song called Gina. And she is the one that told me that I needed to get back into doing something. And I mean, originally I had just planned on maybe writing to see if somebody wanted to use my songs and possibly be a ghostwriter for them, whatever. And a buddy of mine on Facebook heard a couple of my songs. His name's Paul Padone. And he sent it over to a guy named Jim that runs JC's Kick-Ass Rock Show. And Jim reached out to me. He goes, dude, I love your songs. Send me more. So I did. And then all of a sudden, they've got a group chat every Monday night that we go in there, discuss, just kind of BS around. And I've made friends with a lot of those other bands in that group. And a lot of these other bands are sitting there going, dude, why are you waiting so long to do this? And I'm like, it's not that I waited. I just didn't really think at this point in my life that there was a space for me, because to me, it always seemed like it was a younger person's game. And I don't know, I know I'm in my 50s, but I don't feel like I'm in my 50s. I don't feel like I look like I'm in my 50s. But, although some days my body feels like I'm in my 50s.
I feel your pain there. But don't look at it so much as the age part, because I've noticed, and I'm sure everybody else has too, that and this is not the first time I've heard somebody taking a long break in between in their musical careers or whatever they're doing. But there's bands out there now with people at our age. They're playing some kick-ass stuff that you would have never thought, because you're looking at the guys like, this guy looks like my guy at work, or he kind of looks like the dad down the street. But they put on those superhero costumes. They're metalheads, and they're putting out some really awesome stuff, just like you. So now that we're in 2026, you have the new single. Let me talk about the one that brought me to the game. And I mentioned it earlier with Adrenaline. That one right there, if you were to take every single piece of music that I like, put it all together in one, that would be it. Um, what influenced you to write Adrenaline?
So I remember hearing songs like I Can't Drive 55 and songs like Radar Love and things like that. And I was like, I want that song that when somebody's in their car, they've got the windows down, they got the radio cranked up, that song comes on, they just want to mash that gas. And that that's what inspired it. I mean, from the second I started pinning everything down, it just clicked.
I mean, it did. I was just listening to it right before you came on. I was watching the video on YouTube. If anybody out there that loves the kind of music I love, do yourself a favor, go on YouTube, go on Wheeler's page, listen to Adrenaline. And of course, listen to the other songs too. But that one, now you'll know why it is what got me here. And because you're describing your music kind of talking about like an emotional punch, correct?
Yes.
So when you're in the rehearsal room and a song comes to mind, you're talking about life experiences. You're talking about experiences also in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s when you were actively being a musician at the time. What specific sounds are you looking for? What kind of feelings?
So, like on this album, there's three songs that deal with like mental health and some of the strifes. One of them I've already released called I Stayed. Um, in 2010, I was at a very low place in my life, and I wound up in a mental facility because I swallowed a bunch of pills. Um, Luckily, I'm still here. I've gotten past a lot of those demons and stuff, and I'm hoping that something that I might be able to say to somebody else will keep them from going down that same path. Um, you know, it, to me, music has always been the big equalizer in life that whenever I'm feeling sad, depressed, down, a lot of times music can bring me out of that. Even if it's a sad song, it can bring me out of it.
Music in itself is usually better than any kind of prescription or drug a doctor would give you. If you're not feeling mentally well or any other things, I always, it doesn't matter what style of music, everybody prefers what they like, but there's more positives to it than negatives. And I think that those who really enjoy listening to music can get the right kind of feelings out of it or motivation, which I think kind of worked out for you as well. So now that, and I know we mentioned we're in 2026, 2 years ago, you put out some pretty kick-ass music. You got the new single. What are the plans you have?
I am already working on the next follow-up album. I'm actually taking some of my older songs, going through them, kind of giving them some rewrites, adding some lyrics, subtracting some lyrics, um, just because I'm very much a perfectionist, and I wished I had waited on putting some of those songs out there because I wasn't completely happy with them. But it kind of got me to where I'm at now. Kind of gave me the kick in the pants I needed to push forward.
And when you talk about certain elements in these songs that you perhaps weren't happy with, what are you looking for? Is it is it the production value? Is it the lyrics? Is it that one riff that didn't quite jive very well?
It, Pretty much all that. I mean, there's certain things that I'm like, I really didn't care for those lyrics. There's actually a couple songs I've kind of scrapped some of the lyrics and added new lyrics, and Some of the guitar riffs, I'm like, I wish I'd done a little bit better here. Um, there, and then of course some of the production value. I've actually gotten way better with my production skills with as I'm going along. Trying to think what else I could add to all this. Like I'm actually been working on a song with my family, my kids. You know, trying to do things that's going to incorporate my family with it.
Well, you brought up something very important because, not to get personal, but what do your kids think about this? The dad's out there being a rock star, putting out some pretty badass music.
So my son, his name is Easton. He actually came to me a while back, and he's like, "Dad, I want to do a song with you." And we actually have done one song. It's been played a little bit, but he still a little bit shy behind the microphone, so I kind of had to carry a lot of the vocals on it. But he has got an excellent voice. I mean, I I've told everybody, I'm the third best singer in my house, behind my wife and my son. So
Well, you have a very talented family now. It seems that those things are a great recipe for maybe, I don't know, some of these there are a lot of families out there, and I think it's in country music where where it's generational, where each one kind of takes their skills and their styles and do something very different. Do you think your son will stick to the rock, or is he going to do something different down the line? You think?
he actually prefers country music. Our house is very eclectic. We like a mixture of all kinds of things. Even some of the stuff I do is very country based. Most of it is rock, just because that's what I prefer. But I will do what I try to call country with attitude, where it kind of has a country tone but rock feel to it. Um, my wife, she likes country, she likes hip hop, she likes a little bit of rock. Uh, my son, he likes country pretty much.
Have you tried to introduce him to some of the bands that you were listening to back in the day?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, it's not quite gone over yet. He's only 11, so his taste might change a little bit.
True. I remember back in that time where I had certain family members say, "You should listen to some of this." I'm like, "Ah, yeah, I'm not really into that." As you get older, you're like, "Oh, now you kind of really appreciate it because those bands and those musicians are kind of like the influence of musicians of today." So, what now you talking to you have a very well-rounded influence in music, but if you were to pick some certain bands that maybe help define your sound or a musician that I'm not saying you mimic, but that really had an impact.
So the first band I ever listened to was Kiss. I mean, I I was 8 years old, begged my mom to take me to go see Kiss, and so they were the first concert I ever went to. Um, but the band that probably was the one that I was just like, okay, that's what I want to do was Def Leppard. You know, um, when I heard Pyromania, and I was just like, that's what I want to do. And then it grew into bands like Motley Crue and Dawkins, Metallica, Megadeth, all the way to Alice in Chains, and even bands now that I I just admire, like Shinedown and Papa Roach and Hailstorm and Breaking Benjamin. Which, if I have to say my sound is close to anybody right now, I would almost say it's along the lines of like a Shinedown, where I try and speak from my heart.
And sometimes that's the best way to produce songs that make sense to you. and eventually, once it trickles down to the listener, they can relate to what you're going through, or maybe they're going through the same things you were at the same time. Who knows? But I think it does translate. And what the music now is mostly available online at this point, right?
Yes. Yeah. The new album I plan on dropping this Friday, this coming Friday is when it'll be out.
And will it be physical media as well? Because I would love to just have that and add that to my
I
collection here to my
I
left.
am actually working on that as we speak to do physical, um, mostly for the simple fact that there's going to be hidden track on the album. So there's 15 songs plus there's going to be a hidden.
I love that. I haven't seen it in a long time. A hidden track, and I can't remember the last band who did that. That I was listening to back in the day. I want to say it was Overkill. I think they did a version of Heaven and Hell, but I don't know. Maybe I might have been hallucinating, but I'm pretty sure I heard that in one of the Overkill albums. So
I think the last one I heard was Pop Evil's debut album. They had a hidden track at the end of the album.
now you grew up in my time. Talking about hitting tracks. This could be the silliest ass question I want to ask today, but people still do like backward masking.
Mm,
Is that still a thing?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not really sure. I know, like Missy Elliott used it way back when, but as far as like a lot of other bands, I'm not really sure. I know Prince used it when he did "Darlin' Nikki." Hmm. That'd be a good question to try and figure out.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a record player, you could really mess up a lot of your vinyl doing that. So what we did when I was a teenager with this a friend of mine back in we were freshmen in high school, we used to take these cassettes apart and then switch the reels real carefully so we don't twist up the cassette tape. Just switch left to right, close it back, and then try to find something. I mean, we already kind of wrecked the cassette tape to begin with, but we were very unsuccessful in our experiments. And I think we actually tried that with the Striper album. It's one of my favorite bands. I was like, you know what? Let's see if if there's something going on with them. But we didn't hear anything.
Striper's awesome. I actually follow Michael Sweet online.
So do I. And I got
Yeah.
two Striper caps over here, and I'm the only one in my whole state that has it, and I'm very happy to wear it too. So now it comes towards the end of the episode, which is my favorite part and the listeners' favorite part as well. You send me a song. I'm talking Wildfire. What is the meaning behind that song?
So when I wrote "Wildfire Hearts" and "Gasoline Souls," which is the name of the song, I wrote it from the point of view of not only the band itself, but the fans, everybody that supported the band all along. Basically, wanting to, when you start out at bottom of the barrel, nothing, you work in the clubs, work in the circuit, till you get to that arena, and then just having that call and respond back with the crowd. That it's that pay and respect between the band and the fans. That the band thanking the fans thanking the band. For allowing us to be able to do what we do.
And I listened to the track. I love it. And we're definitely going to play this towards the end of this episode. But I have one more question. Very important, I think. Because you kind of touched on something that I think many perhaps are going through the same things. For those out there that are thinking about getting back at music, picking up that guitar, playing the drums or the bass, start singing again, but they're not quite sure if they should or not, what's the best advice you can give them to get them to return?
I mean, if it's something that you love doing, I mean, just absolutely love it, then go for it. Don't Don't deny yourself that happiness.
Well said, my brother. This is Wheeler with Wildfire Hearts and Gasoline Souls on bonus Overdrive Wednesday. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it, man.
We were sparks in a dead-end town, matchstick dreams burning it down. Broke but loud, wild and free. Every wrong turn we had to make. We were ghosts, chasing names up in lights, chasing dreams through the longest nights. Through every scar we tried to hide, turn pain into fuel just to stay alive. If you're still standing next to me after all the damage we couldn't unsee, here's to the wildfire hearts, gasoline souls, ready to ignite the world. Hands up high, screaming loud, we didn't quit, we never bowed. Here's to the nights that saved our lives, every broken road, every drunken fight. If you're still here, if you survive, this one's for me, this one's for you. Here's to us, here's to us, here's to the ones who fell and still believe, to the scars you wear like memories, all the dreams you swore you'd never lose. Yeah, tonight we're raising a toast to you. If you ever felt alone out there, if this song's the reason you're still here, here's to the wildfire hearts, gasoline souls, ready to ignite the world. Hands up high, screaming loud, we didn't quit, we never bowed. Here's to the nights that saved our lives, every broken road, every drunken fight. If you're still here and you survive, this one's for me, this one's for you. Whoa, let me hear you say, we're still alive. Say it louder, say it like you barely survived. Here's to the wildfire, gasoline souls. Here's to wildfire. We're still standing here right now, till the night that just might have saved our lives. Every broken road, every drunken fight. If you're still here and you survive, this one's for me, this one's for you. Wildfire, gasoline souls. Wildfire, gasoline souls. We were sparks in a dead-end town.
All content on this broadcast is a property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. The information shared on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.